It's Thursday, August 18th, and this is now on H&N.
We're just not sure what's going to happen because it's been such an unusual economy.
Is it a sign of tourism slowdown? We'll talk about what could be causing our visitor arrival numbers to drop.
It's not going to work because it's the same thing.
Fire sale. Dealers rush to sell ghost gun parts before restrictions take effect on the mainland.
Had me second guessing the trip altogether, honestly.
Unraveling your traveling. Is it worth it to buy insurance for your next vacation?
All these stories, plus the Addams family is making a comeback.
I think I'm going to love it here.
Details on its Netflix debut coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thanks for having lunch with us right here in the H&N Digital Center. We got Ashley and Jonathan right here with your top story.
Let's take a live look outside at the Reef Runway at Daniel K. Inouye Airport. Now, any shift in our tourism numbers is important to keep an eye on, considering how much the industry plays into our state's economy. And we're seeing the first signs of an end of summer slowdown. That's today's Talker Story.
Bringing in our Howard Dykes to the H&N Digital Center. Howard's always keeping a close eye on those arrival numbers, and I know you're noticing a change, right, Howard?
Yeah, it looks like we're getting to shoulder season just a trifle sooner than we expected. We hadn't had any single arrivals day below 30,000 arrivals since June 6, but we've had two in a row this week. And we've also seen a decline in the recently increasing Japanese arrivals, with 2 days this week that only brought us 1,100 on flights from Japan. So these are preliminary signs that we may be slowing down a little sooner than we thought we would.
So I've been reading a lot of the travel blogs and people talking about how this summer of inflation vacations really had people spending more money than they thought they would. Do you think that factors in at all? People spent way too much. And of course, people are going back to school, back to work, right?
Right. But we usually have a certain time frame when the slowdown occurs, and it occurred sooner than expected, if indeed this is the new trend. So yes, there is a conceivable influence of these high prices, although it wasn't doing it before now. But another possibility, something which is kind of new, is this growing concern about what might happen to the economy. There are some signs of slowdown, other signs that contradict that, and we're just not sure what's going to happen because it's been such an unusual economy this year.
And one thing we can always sort of count on in a pre-pandemic world was those holiday arrivals. Any crystal ball into the future there for November, December?
Well, we know airlines are counting on it because Japan Airlines and ANA and Hawaiian are all flying here more than before from Japan. And we just found out this week that in December, Delta will resume service to Honolulu from Tokyo Haneda Airport. So that's 4 airlines that are kind of betting the ranch on some kind of bump at the year's end, when we do, as you say, usually get a bump from Japan.
Howard Dykes, always appreciate your insight. Thanks so much.
Ghost guns put together using kits purchased online became illegal in Hawaii this year. Next week, federal firearms officials will start regulating them. But as CBS News investigative correspondent Stephen Stock explains, the new rules have created a fire sale for those ghost guns.
On August 24th, new federal rules will effectively ban unserialized parts and kits used to create ghost guns in every state. But we've found the new rules have apparently unleashed a flood in the market for these untraceable firearms.
The actual work is pretty easy.
To find out just how easy it is to make a ghost gun,
This is blank.
we visited Bob and Hugh in a garage in California's Central Valley, where they've been building these homemade guns for years as a hobby. They ask us to withhold their last names because they fear backlash.
The whole process takes about an hour and a half.
They showed us how they take what to most of us looks like a gun part,
Magazine release.
but under current federal law is regarded as just a hunk of metal, a paperweight.
This is what it ends up looking like.
And within an hour or so, on the garage workbench, turn it into a working homemade firearm. just like one from a manufacturer. The only difference? Most privately made firearms created this way have no serial numbers, almost no way to trace them if they are later used in a crime, earning the name ghost guns.
Another AR-15 lower receiver.
You can buy an unserialized ghost gun part legally with only a credit card and an address in most states. For now, we know because we did it.
Okay, we shall see.
Bob and Hughes started putting serial numbers on all the guns they make starting in 2018, when a California law began requiring ghost gun registration there. Rules that will soon extend to every state as the federal government plans to mandate serial numbers on all relevant gun parts used to make homemade firearms. They'll also require anyone who buys these parts to submit to a background check.
They're going to be discouraging people from going out and participating in this hobby.
But multiple law enforcement sources tell us the new rules aren't meant to target hobbyists. They're intended to stop those who produce guns to sell to criminals who otherwise couldn't get a gun legally. The number of ghost guns or privately made firearms recovered and traced by law enforcement from crime scenes since 2016 has exploded nationwide, 1,000%.
It is very troubling.
Charlie Patterson, special agent in charge at ATF's Washington, D.C. Field Division, says untraceable guns lead to more crimes they can't solve.
Here in the district, 41% of all privately made firearms that are recovered linked to another shooting.
Numbers that could go up. CBS News has found that there's a rush to sell off these soon-to-be regulated gun parts. A fire sale, so to speak.
Does that worry you?
That is a concern for all law enforcement.
Matthew Verisco is special agent in charge of ATF's Philadelphia Field Division.
We have cases in Pennsylvania related to individuals that are trying to unload their inventory.
Is it really going to be effective enough?
Any tool that can be utilized by law enforcement to help solve violent crime will be effective.
Bob and Hughes say they don't believe the new rules will reduce violent crime anyway.
It's not going to work because it's the same thing. Criminals don't obey the law.
As for that gun part we ordered online, here it is. It came in the mail. An AR-15 lower 80. No serial number on it, no way to trace it. All perfectly legal. Federal agents have seized more than 45,000 ghost guns since 2016. Nearly 700 of those weapons have been linked to murder or attempted murder investigations. I'm Stephen Stock, CBS News.
The Biden administration is ramping up its efforts against monkeypox. Today, U.S. health officials announced an additional 1.8 million doses of the monkeypox vaccine will soon be available. They're also planning to make the vaccine available on site at large-scale gatherings of gay and bisexual men, a community hard hit by the virus, and outlining a plan to make treatment for monkeypox more accessible. More than 13,500 cases have now been found in the U.S. Today, Hawaii's Department of Health reported 2 more confirmed cases of the monkeypox, both on Oahu, bringing the state's total to 18.
Time for unraveling your traveling. You know, everyone's looking to avoid travel nightmares like the ones we've seen unfold over the summer. So a lot of folks are wondering, is travel insurance worth it? Here's Blaine Alexander with more on that.
While travel may be roaring back, there are still plenty of canceled flights, missed connections, lost luggage, and a host of other travel uncertainties.
It really had me second guessing the trip altogether, honestly.
And as more people are hitting the skies, travel insurance sales are skyrocketing. Squaremouth, a website that helps travelers compare insurance prices, says policy sales are up 180% in June from the previous year, and claims up 235%.
The COVID-19 pandemic changed just about everything about the travel insurance industry. Essentially, anybody who's traveling has been more inclined to purchase travel insurance.
That means insurance companies have made some changes too, expanding their coverage to accommodate illness, additional flight cancellations, and allowing a longer window to rebook, all crucial in getting people back in the air.
The travel insurance that has pandemic coverage in it, it's really a boost, and we're certainly seeing a lift from that.
But higher demand, coupled with a summer of flight delays, cancellations, and rising COVID cases, left some travel insurance companies struggling to handle an influx of claims.
claims are not being handled as quickly as they used to be.
Still, it's not a complete guarantee. Avid traveler Laura Bedell thought her policy would offer protection after a canceled flight meant she spent thousands to rebook. Instead, she got a rude awakening when her claim was denied.
I got a rejection letter saying that because the airline had canceled the flight, not me, then it didn't qualify for any kind of reimbursement. I've definitely learned to read all of the fine print before you put any money into something.
Experts say it is worth the relatively small fee to protect your travel investment, but there are a few things to keep in mind. Be clear on what your policy entails and what situations are covered. Check with your credit card company first to see if they offer insurance. And finally, consider using a travel agent to help you navigate the process if something does go wrong.
Blaine Alexander reporting there. And we got more travel news to get to here from the H&N Digital Center as we unravel your travel. So this is coming from Airbnb trying to crack down on those party animals. Yeah, the rental service tool is taking action to cut down really on property crime. So the platform is testing new tools to screen people and determine if they are high-risk candidates. This is happening in the U.S. and Canada now. Officials will assess request by looking at factors including length of stay and past reviews. If users are deemed, quote, high risk, they will be prevented from booking entire homes. However, single rooms and hotel rooms will still be available to them. This technology already been in the works down under in Australia, where the company says it saw a 35% reduction in ragers. Yeah, here we've already have some pretty strict rules on Airbnbs. You can only rent them nowadays in designated resort areas, at least on Oahu.
That's right. All those house parties.
Yep.
Well, we know about home sharing and car sharing, but did you know you can also dive into a stranger's pool? The Swimply app is like Airbnb, but for renting swimming pools. So Swimply has actually been around since 2018, but gained traction during the pandemic as people sought safe ways to socialize outdoors. Hosts set their own rates and give Swimply a 15% cut, and the company has listings in more than 125 markets in the U.S., Canada, and Australia. Amid its success, though, Swimply faces the prospect of regulatory hurdles as well as liability and safety concerns. That's because in June, a child drowned in what the company's CEO called the first drowning incident at a Swimply reserved pool.
Well, I was checking online to see if any were available here on Oahu, and there was only a handful, really. They were all in like the mid $40s to $60 range. They weren't
an hour a day?
They were hourly.
Wow.
Yeah, so it adds up. At least the ones I saw. And then I happened to be looking for a friend, and they were in Omaha, and there was one there for $35 an hour that came with a pet pig that would come visit you in the pool.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, very cool. All right, guys, we are getting some breaking news right now into the H&N Digital Center. This is also happening on Oahu. There is a police investigation going on right now in Kahulu. We have a crew there right now. I can't tell you too much of confirmation or confirmed information that we've gathered so far, but you can see a number of officers right there in this live picture. Police tape around a business. I believe that is a business there in the area, and there are investigators on scene as well. We have a crew, obviously, there behind this camera working to gather more information. Our assignment editor also working her sources right now to see exactly what's going on. We're getting a few details in, but just not confirmed just yet at this point. Our H&N producers will write up any information that does come into our newsroom and pass it along to you as soon as we get it in a digital push alert. So be sure to sign up for those. All right, let's get, oh wait, Ashley just got some info.
Yeah, that's a very familiar store. It's along the highway. It's the hygienic store. So it's a very well-known store on that side of the island.
Yeah.
But yes, we are gathering more information. We're confirming that information. So check your H&N digital platforms.
Yeah, you can recognize it by that paint color for sure. All right, we're going to switch gears now, get you a check of the weather. Here's Guy Hoggy.
And with the lighter winds today, we could see some afternoon showers, and then drier than normal trade wind conditions come in for the weekend. So it should be a very nice but mostly dry weekend. And then on Monday, we are expecting a little bit of a disturbance, a slight increase in those windward and Mauka showers on Monday. Then by Tuesday, we're back to dry conditions again, save for a few minor splashes. So your 7-day forecast is looking fairly dry, especially through the weekend. And the thing you'll notice is stronger trade winds starting tomorrow, holding at breezy levels through Sunday. And again on Monday, that's our next best chance to see a slight increase in those passing showers.
How much of an impact do you feel you have on climate change? A new poll shows more Americans feel less concerned now than they do just 3 years ago. Casey Lund explains.
Aloha and good afternoon from Kewalo Basin, just outside of Waikiki, a place that so many agree will be heavily impacted by climate change in the coming decades. You know, we're digging in to some new data, a poll from the Associated Press and the National Opinion Research Center that shows around 35% of adult Americans feel either extremely or very concerned about the impacts of climate change on their life. Now that is down from 44% when that survey was done just 3 years ago in 2019. Around half of people surveyed in that poll say that they feel that they have very little impact on climate change itself. Yesterday, we set out in Waikiki to talk to everyday people about how they feel on the matter.
And I believe some people don't recognize it, and that's really dangerous for our society.
Is it really hurting us? No, I think it's just a rotation of nature. It happens every so many years.
Everyday folks have differing opinions on exactly how bad of a problem this is and how much they can really do to change it. I want to introduce Nicola Hedge with us from the city's Office of Resiliency and Climate Change. I showed you those sound bites earlier. How do you react to that? Do you think that represents kind of how people feel here in Hawaii?
Great question. You know, we work at the city with certainly a lot of diverse stakeholders, but we know from poll after poll and just our community engagement that there is a really strong consensus here that climate change is real, it's happening, and a stronger appetite than on the mainland to actually take action here. It's a big part of why our office even exists. It was voted in just a few short years ago to really ensure that the city and county is doing our part to help the city reduce emissions and prepare for the likely impacts of climate change.
Yeah, and I want to also ask you, as we have just recently talked about some of those benefits that are involved in the Inflation Reduction Act, money for appliances, energy efficient upgrades, solar, things like that. What's already available that you want folks to know about? Maybe give me some highlights that they might not know about that they can take advantage of through the city and county.
We're really excited to see that act. It's an historic investment in the global fight against climate change, and we're likely to see more of that in the coming days. But people don't need to wait for that, to see resources, to save on cost, save on energy. I think of a few examples. If you go to hawaiienergy.com, there's rebates and incentives and grants right now for small businesses, restaurants, up to $5,000 to make energy efficiency improvements. You can join us at the city with a free Ride the Bus week next week. If you have your Holo card from the 22nd to the 26th. And I definitely invite people to come to our website, resilientoahu.org. We've got a lot of great other resources compiled for people to take action today.
Nicola Hedge, thank you so much for being with us. Wealth of information there on that website, including information about an open house that they're having. Speaking of engagement, trying to get folks to learn a little bit more about what's being done at the city-county level, at least, to combat climate change. Again, that's resilientoahu.org. We'll get that linked up to HawaiiNewsNow.com, guys, to send things back to you from beautiful Kewalo's Basin.
All right, let's take a look at what the internet is talking about today. And let's take it to Japan, because this is really interesting. The Japanese government is trying to get its younger population to drink more alcohol. This is true, folks. Since the start of the pandemic, the country's liquor tax revenues have actually dropped because less sales at bars and other establishments. That's why it's starting this whole campaign push to get that tax revenue back up. It's called the Sake Viva campaign, and it gets people to drink up. Contestants can have up until September 9th to sign up and submit their application. I'm not really sure exactly what the winner gets, but it's got to be some good drinks, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't know. I'm sure they have a lot of pushback about this campaign.
Yeah, it's not everyone's happy
Yeah.
about it. That's for sure. A lot of people talking on social media saying this is encouraging people to drink, and that can
Yeah.
lead to all sorts of health
Right.
problems. But that sake is good stuff. So I gotta admit.
Well, check this out. Officials in Washington state are urging the public to keep eye for moths following the discovery of one of the largest moths in the world earlier this year. Yikes. A University of Washington professor found this, later identified as an Atlas moth, outside his garage in
Yikes.
Bellevue on July 7th. Now, the wingspan can reach up to 10 inches, making it the biggest known moth in the world. And entomologists believe it to be the first official finding of the pest in the United States. So the Atlas moth is a federally quarantined pest. Without permission from the USDA, collecting, housing, or selling it is prohibited, but it does not represent a hazard to the public's health, per officials.
What kind of caterpillar makes that thing?
I don't
It
know.
is
That's
terrifying.
huge.
Terrifying. All right, let's get to some good news now, and it's a little spooky. That's because the Addams family's making a comeback to Netflix. Here's the trailer in your good news now.
Getting expelled was just a bonus.
You will love Nevermore. It's a magical place where I met your mother. The summer of love.
Finally, you will be among peers who understand you. Maybe you'll even make some friends.
Want to take a stab at being social? I do like stabbing. Little did I know I'd be stepping into a nightmare. Full of mystery, mayhem, and murder. I think I'm going to love it here.
Snap.
I love
Get
it.
it, Wednesday. It looks very exciting. So Tim Burton-esque, right?
Yes.
Very cool. That is Gina Ortega as Wednesday. It also has Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia, and Luis Guzman as Gomez, and Christina Ricci is also going to make a comeback in this. So
cool.
Ashley, real quickly, I just wanted to run through some of the other characters we'll be seeing.
Okay.
Do you know who this guy was?
Oh, cousin It.
Yes, with two T's.
Yep.
How about these two?
Lurch and
so close to it.
Thing.
Yes, you're so good.
Uncle Fester.
Yes, one more.
Pugsley.
Yeah, they did a great job with the casting on this, wouldn't you say?
fun.
Yeah, and this is coming out this fall. That was just a part of that Netflix trailer that was just released. Tim Burton, of course, is the director. Looks amazing. I could not be more excited about this.
Wasn't Pugsley
film.
bald?
He does become bald to be
Okay,
like
got it.
Uncle Fester in the movies.
Oh, you're right.
But he's originally has his hair. All right, you guys. Got to switch gears here quite a bit. I want to take you back out live. We're still tracking that breaking news coming into the H&N Digital Center. This is a live picture from the scene of an active police investigation in Kahulu. We understand now, HPD sources now confirming with this is some sort of weapons investigation there on scene. And as Ashley mentioned, this is an iconic building. A lot of people know where this is. The hygienics building right there. You can see police tape surrounding this scene right now. Right now, I can see at least 4 police vehicles there at the scene as well. Investigators roaming around, collecting information and details. They will pass that along to their public information officer, who then will pass it on to us. And as soon as we get those exact details, we will pass it on to you on your H&N digital platforms. So keep tuned for that. That is going to do it for your This Is Now on this Thursday. Keep watching for more updates on that still developing story. Ashley will have the latest on First at 4 on KHNL.